During the southern campaign between Shu and the Nanzhang tribes, the Nanman were in low spirits. Many of their advancements against Shu were easily thwarted by Zhuge Liang's superior strategy. To make matters worse, one of their most valued comrades, King Duosi, was killed in their recent skirmish. Meng Huo and his men wept for their fallen ally before returning to War Council, with morale lower than ever. As they were in a heated discussion about what to do next, a laugh came from behind the scenes.
You are brave, but how silly you act. Even though I am a woman, I want to go out and fight.
Meng Huo's wife, Lady Zhurong, appeared before the Meng King, and with the approval of her husband, she mounted her steed and rode out with her army of 50,000 troops to drive off the Shu forces. She was quickly intercepted by Zhang Ni, and after a few passing bouts, Zhurong quickly retreated with Zhang Ni giving chase. However, using her throwing knife skills, she was able to ground her pursuer and take him prisoner. Ma Zhang, hearing of Zhang Ni's defeat, rushed out to rescue his comrade, only to be surrounded and captured by the Lady General himself. That night, the Nanman celebrated their victory with a banquet, and Zhurong, intoxicated from the festivities, ordered the execution of their prisoners. However, Meng Huo protested, wishing to show them the same mercy Zhuge Liang showed him 5 times over, and so they all agreed, with Zhurong too drunk to object. The next day, Zhao Yun challenged Zhurong to mounted combat. Eager for a fight, she saddled onto her horse and rode out to engage the Silver Warrior. After a few bouts, Zhao Yun soon fled the battle, but Zhurong did not pursue him. The next day, Wei Yan challenged the lady leader to combat, which she too obliged. Like Zhao Yun, Wei Yan fled and Zhurong refused to give chase. This repeated daily between the two generals until one day, Wei Yan let out a torrent of verbal insults towards Zhurong before fleeing. Offended by his taunts, Zhurong and her troops gave chase. However, this proved to be her downfall as she fell into an ambush set by Ma Dai, after which she was captured, bound, and carried off to the Shu main camp. Though she was a prisoner, Zhuge Liang had her treated as though she were an honored guest, giving her wine and better living space. Zhuge Liang then sent a letter to Meng Huo proposing a prisoner exchange, the queen for his 2 generals, to which Meng Huo both gladly and angrily agreed to. Zhurong and her husband have been in the game since their first appearance together in Dynasty Warriors 3. She is often depicted as an aggressive and beautiful woman who often coerces her husband into action against the rival kingdoms. As she finds her husband's laid-back and content nature a hindrance to the Nanman people, she makes it her duty to inspire him with a sense of both passion and ambition. While she may seem to bully him, she has proven that she does love her husband deeply and would never want to see him come to harm. Due to Meng Huo's adoration for his wife, and his desire to not upset her furious temperament, he will usually wind up doing as she asks, with the result often proving positive for the Nanman people. She is often shown rushing to her husband's rescue when he is in over his head or in peril. They are mostly shown working together to lead their tribesmen to victory. The Nanman don't have much of a presence throughout most of the games, since the southern campaigns are usually compacted into isolated events or single missions. But from what little is shown of them, the Meng King and Queen act differently compared to the other couples in the games. Similar to Zhuge Liang and Yue Ying, Meng Huo and Zhurong act separately, with Zhurong being an active participant in defending her husband as opposed to being an additional obstacle in his defense, sometimes helping her siblings or helping the animals. And like their husbands, both Yue Ying and Zhurong share somewhat of a friendship. In fact, much like their husbands, both Yue Ying and Zhurong are very similar. Both women protect and support their husbands logistically for the betterment of their people, as well as playing mother hen to the younger characters, with Zhurong having a bit more sass. Now, I don't know about you all, but I've noticed that Zhurong really likes talking about fire.
Burn to the ground!
But do you get as hot as I am?
You stand the heat.
You and your pathetic flames. Let's see who gets burned.
I'm getting fire.
and that's because she is descended from the Zhurong family, who were widely believed to descend from the god of fire, Zhurong. As such, Zhurong herself openly claims divinity over her people as the goddess of fire, or daughter of.
I'm Zhurong, daughter of the god of fire!
Which is reflected in the titles of her weapons, the Fire Wheel, Magma Wheel, Spitfire, Inferno, and of course, the Fire Goddess. Speaking of her weapons, she was said to have been the master of flying swords and throwing daggers, which is incorporated into her fighting style ever since Dynasty Warriors 3, and even became her main weapon in Dynasty Warriors 7. However, her primary weapon throughout the entire series is a boomerang, which is, in a way, a flying blade. Even though flying swords are a thing ever since Dynasty Warriors 7, it is a very creative and fitting touch for her character. Her fighting style also incorporates the use of capoeira, a Brazilian martial art. This fighting style incorporates a lot of kicks, flips, and handstands, appearing almost as if it were a dance. And although it's not made explicitly clear in the modern games, her more supernatural abilities have a theme of sports, specifically volleyball and soccer. And although her classic Muso attacks had her throwing daggers, her modern moveset has her perform supernatural abilities, such as Hot Stuff, Swirling Inferno, and Hellish Wave.
I am a descendant of the god of fire!
Although Menghua's existence is subject to debate, Zhurong was a completely fictional character made for the Romance of the Three Kingdoms novel, and even though Menghua was well known as the Great King, she went down in legend as the Great Goddess. I personally liked both Menghua and Zhurong together, and to me, they seem like the best interpretation of a married couple in a video game. Not just because they're both characters in their own right, but it's clear that they've been with each other for a long time, they're way past the budding romance phase, and pretty much have each other figured out. And you know, in spite of the fact that he's a king, they still both speak to each other informally, so I always thought that was a nice touch to them. Anyway, I'm rambling, cue that outro.